that the assessment will aid strategic planning, now reconstruction and re-equipment. Now, the chairman of the committee, Commissioner of Police Abutu Yaro, have been charged by the IGP to see the assignment as a call to service which must be undertaken with purposefulness, empathy, dedication and sacrifice.
The terms of reference of the committee are 1. To physically visit the scenes and capture the pictorials of all damages done to police infrastructure and personnel. 2. Establish the weapons holding that were lost during the incident. 3. Verify the fatalities suffered by the police. 4. Undertake visit to the families of the deceased police officers and those injured.
In another development, officers and men of the Nigerian Police Force FCT Command have been applauded to exhibiting maximum restraint during the EndSARS protest. Now, Francis Form reports that the Inspector General of Police, Mohamed Adamu, gave the commendation when he visited the FCT Command.
This is the first visit of the IGP to the FCT Command after the protest. Besides the word of caution, he encouraged them to remain resolute in the discharge of their duties. The police chief, who recalled the mayhem meted on vehicles, property and destruction of public and private facilities, said it was a phase that should be put behind and lessons learned, even as the officers in the command, despite the provocation, acted professionally.
Those officers that lost their lives all over the country, they will not die in vain, because adequate compensation has been planned for them in an extensive manner to show that they serve their country to the extent of losing their lives.
He gave the assurance of federal government's commitment to reform the police to address contemporary challenges facing it.
So all our barracks will be taken care of. All our logistic requirements in terms of vehicles, in terms of accoutrement, in terms of medicals, all segments of what is required of police officers to have for them to perform their duties.
Meanwhile, 53 suspects are in police custody for alleged looting and vandalism at the Kubwa NYC orientation camp. The IGP said the suspects will be prosecuted. In Abuja, Francis Form, NTA News.
Now, the Speaker House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila, says there is need to review the definition of federal character in the Constitution while declaring open a retreat for Young Parliamentarians Forum of the National Assembly. Now, the Speaker believes the definition as a course limitation of opportunities to some Nigerians. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
As presently defined in the Constitution, federal character, says the Speaker, is at variance with current realities in the country. He notes that the provision limits national opportunities to geographical location without considering gender, persons with disability, and age classification. This strategy meeting, Gbajabiamila notes, will help chart a course for Nigerian youths to take the mantle of leadership at all levels of government.
I do intend to reconvene the House to consider a couple of very important things that will affect the young as well. That is the beginning of the electoral law, the PIB, and more importantly, the bills that are already in the system concerning the development of the youth. So we'll hopefully by next week take 1 or 2 days to consider those bills and others.
People that are considered young constitute about 70% of the population of this country. So it is not out of place to ask that Nigeria treats her citizens fairly.
I hereby plead with the generality of Nigerian youths to always apply peaceful methods to draw attention of relevant authorities to your demands Violence is never the answer.
In a related development, the House Committee on Rules and Business says capacity building for lawmakers is necessary for effective discharge of duties. It was at a retreat that aims to enhance legislative procedure pertaining to bills, motions and resolutions.
We're here to exchange ideas, deepen our knowledge of the system with a view to improving the modus operandi of the committee.
Our resource personnel, especially on this program today, are retired directors who have passed through like 35 years in the legislative work. So they have a lot of knowledge about this.
And a lot that we have been taught in these past few days have just entrenched yet again the values and those things that are needed for us to pass laws.
The Committee on Rules and Business is in charge of all legislative documentation. Lami Ali, NTA News.
Now, sustaining truthful and effective communication amongst various agencies of government and the citizens must be adhered to by leaders at all levels of order to gain citizen support and confidence. This is part of the highlight of the 6th Nigerian Prize for Leadership Dialogue Series. Aman Jamani report.
The 6th Dialogue Series of the Nigerian Prize for Leadership, which focuses on trust, accountability and sacrifice, brings to the front burner 31 highlights with effective leadership, starting with accountability, with premium on honesty as the watchword for accountability. Stakeholders say the lack of trust, accountability and sacrifice are generally lacking in Nigerian political leadership, and that is why the country is not able to navigate the stairs of leadership to the top.
Lack of transparency in governance has further eliminated trust, made worse by the obvious disparity between lifestyles of elected leaders and the poverty that the followers must endure.
And leaders should be willing to take responsibility for the outcome of their actions and inactions. Leadership in trust, accountability, and sacrifice are important dimensions that we cannot look away from if we must rethink leadership in Nigeria.
Themselves, they need the trust of the people. They need people to trust them. So how do you get that trust? Even if that's the only thing I say, how do you get the people's trust? Or if something happened, as we had this EndSARS problem, and you've lost the trust of the people, how do you rebuild trust?
I really think nobody has an answer, but together we can have answer. How can we come together? We need to have deliberate conversation.
We now have a responsibility to engage, to collaborate, and make sure that those who are charged with the responsibility and the mandate to protect the lives and citizens carry out this responsibility diligently.
There is disconnection between the old and the young people, which resulted in trust issue, leading to the recent crisis in the country. Hence, conversation must be restored for better leadership worthy of emulation, the 6th Dialogue Series believed. Hamman Jabani, NTA News.
Now, Nigerians in diaspora have documented their experiences in the path of national development in a book titled Nigeria at Diaspora, Human Capital and National Development. The document was presented at a virtual ceremony which was also held in person.
The book is filled with diaspora experiences in areas of development and economic growth, written by Dr. John George, who lives in Russia. Nigeria and her Diaspora, Human Capital and National Development is the title of the book, presented to the public by Secretary to the Commission, Dr. Yakubu Sule Bassi, who represented the chairman, Abike Dabire Idewa, says Nigerians in diaspora are assisting the Commission to achieve its mandate.
President Muhammadu Buhari, GCFR, is a diaspora-friendly president. This interest is shown at the various town hall meetings he has held during all his foreign trips in order to interface with the Nigerians in the diaspora.
The theme of the book, as it reads, is Nigeria and her diaspora. It talks about the relationship, which is a complex relationship between Nigeria and her diaspora, how that relationship has evolved over the years, the theses that have emerged from that relationship, But more importantly, it talks about where that relationship should actually be when properly managed.
Former President of Nigeria, Olusegun Obasanjo, says the book highlights the amazing achievements of Nigerians in diaspora, while former Nigerian's High Commissioner to the United Kingdom, Dalhatu Serkintavida, describes the author as an exceptional Nigerian who always puts the interest of Nigerian above personal interest.
When I see him, I never shiver, because I know he's always bringing the goodies for me and for my country. That's why we worked very well together. He's an excellent Nigerian.
There were goodwill messages from classmates, business partners, captains of industry, and well-wishers across the continent. From Abuja, Suleiman Tob Abdulhab, NTA News.
In another development, the federal government has restated its commitment in protecting the media and its practitioners in the country. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed stated this in Lagos when he paid a solidarity visit to the management of Vintage Press publishers of Nation's newspaper. Anthony Forson, report.
The Nation newspaper headquarters was attacked on the 21st of October by hoodlums who hijacked the peaceful protest calling for an end to police brutality, tagged EndSARS. In the attack, parts of the building was burned, vehicles destroyed, and properties looted. The minister, accompanied by the Director General Radio Nigeria, Managing Director, News Agency of Nigeria, Executive Secretary, Nigeria Press Council, Registrar of APCON, and the Acting Director General, NBC. They were conducted round the premises where they assessed the level of damage. Expressing displeasure over the incident, Lai Mohammed said it is condemnable that with no provocation, the media, which is a pivot upon which democracy thrives, will be attacked.
The fact that within a few days, you're able to return to the stand, I think is a big blow to the naysayers who thought they could put out the light of press freedom. We believe that the attack on the nation is not just an attack on the vintage press. It's an attack on the free press. It's an attack on democracy. Because there can no be any virile, robust democracy without a free media. Therefore, an attack on nation or any media whatsoever is a direct attack on freedom of speech and also on democracy.
Assuring that government will continue to support responsible journalism, it will not fold its arms and condone the promotion of fake news and hate speech. Hence, the need for a mechanism that will regulate the social media, which has become a potent tool.
Social media is here to stay. And it's going to be an antithesis to democracy for anybody to even attempt to shut down the social media. However, we must regulate the social media in a manner that it does not become a purveyor of fake news and hate speech.
While government, the minister said, is looking into the demands of the EndSARS protesters, some have already been met. He therefore called for restraints. Chairman of Vintage Press, Olawale Edun, expressed gratitude, describing the minister and his entourage's visit as encouraging. He, however, said, despite the destruction and loss of property, no casualty was recorded. In Lagos, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
And you're watching the news on NTA International. We'll now take a break. When we return, there'll be more news. Do stay tuned.
Demands of #EndSARS movement. Immediate release of all arrested protesters. Justice for all deceased victims of police brutality and appropriate compensation for their families. Setting up an independent body to oversee the investigation and prosecution of all reports of police misconduct within 10 days. In line with the new Police Act, psychological evaluation and retraining to be confirmed by an independent body of all disbanded SARS officers before they can be redeployed. increase police salary so that they are adequately compensated for protecting the lives and property of citizens. Federal government's response. On 11th October 2020, the Inspector General of Police dissolved the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS, across the 36 states police commands and the Federal Capital Territory. On October 12th, President Muhammadu Buhari addressed the nation, stating, "The disbanding of SARS is only the first step in our commitment to extensive police reforms." On 13th October 2020, the Inspector General of Police ordered all defunct SARS personnel to report at Force Headquarters, Abuja, for debriefing as well as psychological and medical examination. On 13th October 2020, the Presidential Panel on the Reform of SARS accepted the 5-point demand of the #EndSARS protesters. On 15th October 2020, the National Economic Council, NEC, directed the immediate establishment of state-based judicial panels of inquiry across the country to receive and investigate complaints of police brutality, related extrajudicial killings, with a view to delivering justice for all victims of the dissolved SARS and other police units. State governors should immediately establish state-based special security and human rights committees to be chaired by governors in their state, and to supervise the newly formed police tactical units and all other security agencies located in the state. This will ensure the protection of citizens' human rights. Members will also include representatives of youths and civil society, as well as head of police tactical units in each of the states.
What does it take to get ahead in today's world? To get your dream job, the perfect girl, even a table at your favorite dance club. It takes moving fast. It takes moving at the speed of 4G. With Intel 4G LTE, you've got it all covered. That's because you have access to super fast unlimited data that enables you move as fast as the speed of light. Now, no download is too heavy. No conversation too long. Nothing is impossible. Get Intel 4G LTE Advanced today and do so much more. Intel. Live more.
Do you know that social media is not good or bad, and that it is you who is using it that is either good or bad? Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop, verify the information, and reflect before sharing it. Now, are you a good social media user? Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source for a better Nigeria.
This message is from the National Orientation Agency.
Many thanks for staying tuned on NTA International News. Though a petroleum economy, Nigeria is yet to leverage and the opportunities in the petrochemical industry, which records an annual sale of $150 billion. Now, agencies under the Ministry of Commerce have now mapped out plans to explore the oil and gas export. Now, this came to fore when the ministry appeared before the House Committee on Commerce for Budget Defense. National Assembly correspondent Lamieli report.
In what it calls the Zero Oil Plan, the Ministry of Commerce, through the Nigeria Export Promotion Council, has created a new market. The petrochemical industry, of which the upcoming Dangote refinery is a point of reference, will be another game changer for Nigeria. That is in addition to others that will expectedly fetch for the country more foreign exchange in the export of more commodities.
Able to track the process in cashew in different states. Sesame in different states. Petrochemicals, for example, with the refinery coming up.
Chairman of the House Committee on Commerce, while commending the ministry on its budget performance, called for additional strategy to make Nigeria a key player in global trade.
Our ministry is the one saddled with the responsibility of delivering AfCFTA, African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, and ensure that it gains some traction If we don't gain some traction, this country with such a huge population and a highly cosmopolitan style of living for those who have the purchasing power, what we end up is that we will end up being a dumping ground.
The committee at its session with Oil and Gas Export Free Zone says it is not satisfied with the explanation of the authority concerning notice breaches of the Fiscal Responsibility Act in the 2020 budget performance. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Now, on health matters, the National Hospital Abuja is not relenting on its quest to ending medical tourism. To this effect, it is working to make the hospital a world-class and apex treatment and reference center. Minister of Health, Dr. Osagie Ehanire, who was at the hospital for inspection of 2 newly acquired linear accelerator machines for treatment and management of cancer, also said implementation of universal health care coverage remains the federal government's top priority. Sarafina Okon, Mekwe report.
The medical system keeps evolving. The National Hospital Abuja is keeping up with the trend in diverse areas of specialty in pediatrics. Cancer management, cardiology remains its original destination as Center for Laboratory Diagnostics and Trauma Center. A tour at the new annex known as National Center for Cancer and Radiation Medicine has 2 new linear accelerator machines for radiotherapy with dedicated CT scan machines, just as the building is near 80% completion. The Chief Medical Director of the hospital, Jafar Momo, noted that the hospital is redefining itself, but not without challenges. The board chairman of the hospital, Patricia Ete, appealed for proper funding.
80% of my doctors abroad are Nigerians. What can we do? It means that we have brains in Nigeria, but when it comes to where they can have equipment to work with, I'm sure a lot of them will want to stay back and work.
The country needs to be able to retain its manpower, develop more and keep them. Some of them keep checking out, but we have tried to encourage them with incentive. We have introduced intramural practice where they can be fulfilled in terms of their total take-home.
The Minister of Health, Dr. Osagie Ehanire, said the Buhari administration is not relenting in giving out all support the hospital needs to truly becoming a world class in the country. He also thanked the management for rising to the challenge posed by COVID-19 pandemic and warned that Nigeria is not free from COVID-19. Hence, all isolation centers should be at alert.
While health is very important, we look forward to the investment in the health sector increasing to the 15% that is contained in the Abuja Declaration. But we cannot close our eyes to the reality that there are severely competing priorities.
On universal healthcare coverage, Dr. Ehanire assured that the Buhari administration is taking healthcare to every part of the country, provide basic services, strategizing reviving state government secondary healthcare, as these would reduce the rate of child maternal mortality. Serafina Okon Umekwe, NTA News.
Now, England considers a second national lockdown, and Philippines orders evacuation of residents of Typhoon Goni approaches. The Southeast Asian nation. Uche Ogochukwu brings us update.
England considers a second national lockdown in the coming days as surging coronavirus infections across Europe trigger strict new rules and violent protests. In the United States, 99,321 new coronavirus cases were reported in the last 24 hours, the second consecutive day it has seen the highest number of daily infections since the pandemic began. And Brazil's health minister, who tested positive for COVID-19 last week, has been hospitalized for dehydration, although the health ministry denied his hospitalization was due to a COVID-19 complication. In Africa, Nigeria's total confirmed cases climbed to 62,691, having recorded 170 new infections Friday. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization coronavirus dashboard shows 1,455,834 patients have recovered from COVID-19 on the African continent, which has so far reported 1,786,710 positive cases. And the global infections figure on Worldometer coronavirus dashboard at 6 p.m. local time is 46,182,636 with 1,197,507 deaths. In other developments around the globe, UNESCO has declared the official inclusion of the island of Moheli in Comoros on the list of 669 natural biosphere reserves in the world. The UNESCO biosphere reserves are active in reconciling human activities with conservation and the sustainable use of biodiversity. On the other hand, Philippine officials Saturday ordered the evacuation of thousands of residents in the southern part of the main Luzon island as the world's strongest storm, Typhoon Goni, approached the Southeast Asian nation. It is predicted to make landfall on Sunday. And ahead of Tuesday's U.S. election, Barack Obama joins forces with Joe Biden in Michigan on the final weekend of campaign, while President Donald Trump targets the crucial battleground state of Pennsylvania. Nearly 19 million people have already voted in the November 3 election. That is it from here. I am Uche Ugochukwu.
Now, the power sector has again in less than 1 week recorded yet another national peak generation of 5,520.40 megawatt on 30th October 2020, surpassing the previous 5,459 megawatts recorded on 28th October 2020 by 60.90 megawatt. A statement by the General Manager, Public Affairs Transmission Commission of Nigeria states that the new national peak is as a result of continued collaboration amongst players and a gradual increase in capacity in the power sector. With the current capacity of 8,100 megawatt, TCN says it seamlessly transmitted the new peak through the national grid. On a somber note, President Muhammadu Buhari is commiserating with the people of Achala community in Anambra State government over the demise of Igwe Alex Ezioba Nwokadi of the Otoku of Achala. Now, in a statement, the president also condoles with Igwe in Council of Achala on the loss of the former chairman, Anambra State Council of Traditional Rulers, and former chairman of 9 State Council of Traditional Rulers. And that's the news at 7. Many thanks for watching. I'm Abdul Malik Adieu. Remember to connect with the Nigerian Television Authority and stand against rape and rapists. Good evening.